and very good morning to all of you.
Good
And
morning,
you
sir.
all, every one of you, please welcome on behalf of the Lourdes College of Nursing.
Thank you.
We, the management, principal, faculty, and students of Lourdes College of Nursing, proudly presenting our first national level webinar on nursing care of COVID-19 patients with mechanical ventilations. I take this opportunity to greatly salute all the COVID-19 warriors, especially nurses who are all really fighting a big war against the great coronavirus emerged in the year 2020. We are also grateful to our Managing Director, Dr. Joseph Benavan, and our Director, Mrs. Rocky Joseph, for their all-round inspiration and motivation for organizing this kind of national webinar. And thank you very much for them to make us ever proud to go this extent. We are also grateful to Mr. Rajkumar Kanayan, Nursing Officer, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, for accepting our invitation to present on the same topic. As you all know, right now we have 7.5 lakh of COVID cases in India, which is surging every day, not only in India, but also across the globe. There are around 4.5 lakhs cases has been recovered, but still there are 3.3 lakh cases are still positive, of which 3 to 10%, that means around 25 to 30,000 patients are still critically in all our hospital beds of across India, of which probably around 20 to 25,000 nurses are now fighting against this corona with the patients on mechanical ventilation. That means we have the great aim today to equip and to empower all the frontline warriors, especially nurses, who are all fighting against this deadliest virus for the last 6 months. So this is a need of the hour. This is a timely intervention to make our nurses as a specialist in dealing with the mechanical ventilation. So we got the right person, Mr. Rajkumar. He's working as a nursing officer in Delhi AIIMS since 2014. He has a vast experience in training and teaching, especially for the nurses. Basically, he's graduated from All India Institute of Medical Sciences in the year 2012. He had a couple of years of experience in JIPMER, Pondicherry, as well as a nurse. And he has been awarded as the best faculty during his teaching tenure at Nightingale Institute of Nursing Sciences. Already he has been placed around 500 graduates in nursing at different government positions across India. Above all, he's a great motivator. He's a great person in nursing. And I'm really grateful to invite Mr. Rajkumar to proceed with the same topic on nursing care of COVID-19 patients with mechanical ventilation. Rajkumar, please go ahead with your session. Wish you all the best.
Yes. Respected Professor Sendil Kumar, Principal of Lourdes College of Nursing, and the Director of Mrs. Rocky Joseph, and Vice Principal Mr. Johnson, and the management of Lourdes College of Nursing. Thank you for inviting me as a speaker for this, and my friends and colleagues and nursing fraternity across India. Today's session, I think, can you mute?
Yeah. Please mute. Mr. Rajkumar is also muted. Rajkumar, you are also muted.
Yeah. Once again, fine. Good morning to all. So I would like to end my session after just 1 hour, 10 minutes. Thank you for all for Lourdes College of Nursing for inviting me as a speaker. So today's topic, as we mentioned, we are going to be very practical, as not compared with theoretical. So I would like to share my experience for last 7 years in Department of Medicine, AIIMS, New Delhi. So what kind of problem the nurses are facing, how to approach when you are independently. So this session will be useful for you people, and when you are posted in ICU and as emergency nurse, when you are dealing with ventilators. Yeah. So by this, I'm going to start the session. Let us start our sessions. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So I think it goes there. I think yes. Yeah. Nursing management of COVID-19 patients on mechanical ventilation. So you may think, I think some echo is coming, sir. Can you see what is the problem? So you go there.
Yes, Mr. Rajkumar, fine, but still some echo. Yeah.
Yes.
You are okay now? Our environment is okay now?
Yeah,
You're
mine
all
is
right
okay,
now?
sir. Yeah,
Fine,
mine is
yeah.
okay.
Johnson, ours is all right as well, no?
Yeah. Now it's fine, I think.
Fine, yeah, that's fine. Keep going on.
Yeah. So mechanical ventilation, what I'm going to discuss is not like what you studied in BS nursing, and it's going to be different session. You can have patience for 1 hour. Let us start. First of all, I would like to know, as we said, whether you are a dependent clinical nurse or independent clinical nurse, it depends on you how we are going to face in challenges in clinicals. So it's usually we are dependent clinical nurse, as you all know, but in some situation you have to be independent and take some accountability, right? So how we are going to see that? So this session is going to be overall objective, the self-assessment for the nurses to increase the level of competency of nurses, and how you know that the patient comes under severe cases of COVID, and how we are going to approach if you are independent clinical nurse. And do you agree that the key assessment interventions made by nurse will make a large impact of the outcome of the patients who is in mechanical ventilator? Yes. So what I observed for last 7 years, mechanical ventilation is like we usually think we don't want that. We usually go for only some settings. So here I'm going to discuss with some specific objectives along with overall objectives. You can see the specific objectives of this session. To underline the basic ventilator languages, to interpret the various loops and curves, and to know about various modes of ventilations, and to pick up asynchronies and measure to rectify the role of nurse in to find out asynchrony. This is most important part. And last, to learn managing mechanical ventilations in special situations. If you are independently working, and you should know how to troubleshoot the ventilators. Yes. Yes. So since our topic is based on COVID-19 and mechanical ventilation, so mostly the COVID-19 cases and mechanical ventilation, what we are going to discuss is the severe cases of COVID. Only they will go for the mechanical ventilation, not mild or moderate. So our focus is to know how the severe cases will be there. Yes, what kind of presentations will be there in severe cases, and how we are going to approach, what is the steps when the patient go to severe cases. Yes. So first of all, you should know about today's session is about oxygen impairment in adult when it is required, about mechanical ventilations, terminologies, phase variables, loops and curves. So this is what I said. We are not going to learn what we studied in BS nursing. We are going to learn that a completely different, which practical oriented, the phase variables, loops and curves assessment. Yeah. So how you describe as a nurse, you are ventilating the patients. You should know whether patient is getting ventilated or any asynchrony is there, right? So the management of severe cases of COVID-19, let us start the case scenario where you see the patient admitted with clinical sign of severe pneumonia, yes, and respiratory rate greater than 30 breaths per minute, and with severe respiratory distress, with SpO2 less than 90% on room air, and lactate is increasing in ABG, worsening respiratory symptoms, and pulmonary inflation on chest X-ray, which the physician will know. They have the idea about this. As a nurse, how we are going to approach alone or along with physician. So here, this is a scenario for the severe cases of COVID-19, how we are going to manage. The saturation is less than 90 on room air, and the lactate is increasing in ABG. Yes, when the lactate is increased in ABG, that also very
Sorry,
important.
Mr. Rajkumar, we
Yes.
don't see any of your slides. We would able to see you only. There is no display of your slides.
Yeah. Why? Just a minute. I'll come back.
Slides are not displayed. Johnson, look into that. The slides are shared and displayed.
We can see, sir.
Oh, you
We
can. Yeah,
can
carry.
see,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, we can.
Okay,
We can
keep
see.
going on. Keep going
Okay,
on.
fine.
Keep-
Yes. So, so that's what about today's topic is case scenario with severe cases of COVID. How we are going to manage? Yes, yes. So you, as a nurse, you are working in ICU. Yes, emergency. The patient comes in.
Yes.
Yeah, patient comes with severe cases of COVID. So you see, you decide yourself whether you are dependent clinical nurse or you usually will follow the physician order, right? But still,
Yes.
we are here to focus. I'm here to focus. If you are alone after the patient is intubated, how we are going to manage the settings of the ventilators and how we are going to intervene if any malfunction is there, right? Yes. Your decision making is very important. Before going to the session, first of all, you should know what is the severe cases and how it is classified according to the oxygen impairment in adult. We have mild ARDS, moderate ARDS, and severe ARDS. You see here the criteria here. Yes. Yes, just a minute. I'll come with pointer. Yes. You see this condition which you are going to discuss. Before going to the session, first of all, you should know what is PaO2 and FiO2 ratio. By keeping this, they will classify it into mild, moderate, and severe. So how we are going to calculate PaO2 and FiO2 ratio? Okay, fine. So see, if it is less than 100 mm of Hg with the P greater than 5 centimeter of H2O, then they will consider this condition as a severe ARDS. So what is this? So what is PaO2 and FiO2 ratio? So PO2, it is always given from the ABG. Yes. Sometimes FiO2, if it is patient is in ventilator, you should calculate how much of FiO2 we are giving. If it is in room air, we can calculate PO2 43 divided by 21%. So you will get an approximate value here. You can see in the ABG, it will come PO2 FiO2 ratio 207. So this is important part for to classify the condition with severe ARDS. I hope you got it. PO2 FiO2 ratio is important before going for the condition. If the patient is going for severe cases in ARDS, so patient, how we are going to manage? Yes, the first we'll go by one. You see, first initially you will go with yearly supportive therapy and you go with management of hypoxemic failure. What is that? So first initially we'll go with the oxygen support with reservoir which we studied 10 to 15 liters usually we'll give yearly supportive therapy and monitoring. If the patient is deteriorating and the patient comes with hypoxemic respiratory failure and VQ mismatch will be there. So how we are going to manage? Suppose you see the patient comes and patient PO2, PO2 and FiO2 ratio is less than 100 and patient's sensory is not good and patient is diagnosed with COVID-19 positive, and how we are going to approach? Initially, they will support with oxygen and then the patient will put on NIV mask or high flow nasal cannula, HFNC. Okay. So either with high flow nasal cannula or NIV trial for 1 hour. So we usually give 1 hour or 2 hours. It depends on the condition of the patients. Yes. So if patient is not recovering from that and patient's level of GCS is deteriorating and saturation is deteriorating, so patient will put on mechanical ventilation. So initially they'll go with the oxygen and then they'll go with NIV, high flow nasal cannula, and then they'll go with the trial for 1 hour with NIV. And then if it's not patient is deteriorating, then they'll go for the mechanical ventilation. Yes. So today's topic is COVID-19 with mechanical ventilation. So you see when mechanical ventilation is needed for, so you should know when the patient is ventilated. Yeah. You see, this is HFNSC, high flow nasal cannula oxygen, and NIV is like we should know what is difference between CPAP and BiPAP, right? So what is CPAP? Is essential constant peak, which we'll be discussing one by one, and BiPAP is CPAP plus pressure support. So NIV is BiPAP is CPAP plus pressure support, which you are going to see, right? So NIV trial usually they'll give for 1 or 2 hours. This is NIV machines. So if the patient is not tolerable and ABG is showing hypercapnic CO2 retention is there continuously, and patient is GCS is less than 8, GCS is less than 8. So they won't wait, they'll go for intubation, right? This is the criteria how when the patient will be put on mechanical ventilation. Yes, so mechanical ventilations, yeah, patient is intubated and put on ventilator. Which of the following parameters should be observed by the nurse at initial setting? You see here, have you ever assessed the settings and parameter of mechanical ventilator? As per concern of me, and since I'm working in Department of Medicine last 7 years, usually we'll focus only FiO2 and some mode. I think some disturbance are there. Yes, some mode FiO2 we will focus, right?
Yes.
So what is here? What we as a nurse, what you do, what we will do. This is the parameter which you'll observe, right? The mode, FiO2, PEEP, and tidal volume and rate. Most of the nurses who is working in ICU and emergencies, mostly they will assess, will write the notes, what is mode, which mode patient is this, and FiO2, and the PEEP, some nurses, those who want to observe, they will observe PEEP, and tidal volume, you know, and rate, you know. So we are not focusing this area, which, why not this parameter not assessed? What is PIP, and what is inspiratory pressure, plateau pressure, and IE ratio, and trigger sensitivity, and P peak, and flow rate, and auto peep, and auto trigger. So today's session is full of focusing this area. I'm not going to focus this area, and the nursing intervention to be done. When the PIP is increased, what you are going to do? When plateau pressure is increased, what is the role of nurse? What is the role of nurse in maintaining the IE ratio? What is trigger sensitivity? What is P peak? And what is flow rate? And what is auto peep? And the role of nurse and auto trigger. So only I told you this is going to be different session, not like what you studied in BS nursing. So this is completely practical based. So since as a nurse we are doing better in the clinical side, still you can do best by assessing the parameters and doing the intervention at the right exact time if patient goes for any asynchrony, right? Yes. Yes, before going to the session, so deeply, and we'll have some basic assessments, which is very important for the nurses. Which all the assessment is very important. I'll give here the 4 method of full ventilator support is initially, you should know, initiating the mechanical ventilation and maintenance of the mechanical ventilation, and discontinue or weaning the mechanical ventilation, and general parameters in mechanical ventilation. So you see what 2 settings on the ventilator allow. Please, I think some disturbance are there. Can you mute? Yes, some disturbance are coming.
Hello, Rajkumar sir. Voice. Hello, Rajkumar sir. Your voice is not audible.
Yes. Okay. I unmute. I'll come. Yeah. Yes. So here you can see here. Yes. So what I'm going to discuss, the 2 settings of the ventilator allow to manage the patient CO2. The most 2 settings, what 2 settings of the ventilator allow to manage the patient CO2 level? If the patient CO2 level is increased, the respiratory rate and tidal volume, that we will tell that minute ventilation, which we will be discussing. What is minute ventilation? What is the role of nurse in maintaining the minute ventilation, right? And what settings, initial setting for the respiratory rate should be maintained for the newly mechanical ventilated patients. That is, you know that initially the patient is intubated, they will keep on respiratory rate 12 to 20 breaths per minute in the range of that. And then you have plateau pressure. What I'm going to focus is plateau pressure is very important for the nurses, which you are not focusing in bedside. So today's session is almost most of the clinical important part is I'm going to discuss with like plateau pressure, what is peak pressure and everything. So it is should never greater than 30. I'll show the ventilator and I'll discuss. So you see, remember the value, normal value, it should not greater than 30, right? And you know what is why the patient put on ventilator failure, and what is compliance. So compliance is one of the most important part in the as per this ventilator settings. The compliance everyone should know. It is directly proportional to volume and inversely proportional to pressure. That is volume divided by pressure. So we are going to discuss in deeply when I'm showing the ventilator. Yes, and what should the tidal volume alarm should set alarm? Tidal volume alarm 100 ml of the patient's exhaled tidal volume, or 10% of the patient's exhaled tidal. That I will explain you. Initially, how much of tidal volume you should give. Why you should keep it 350. By ventilator, I will explain. And respiratory rate, some physician, what should the respiratory rate alarm to be set at? 10 to 15 breaths per minute above their observed rate. If you are observing 12 breaths or 14 breaths per minute for patient, and the alarm rate of the ventilator should be set 10 to 15 breaths more than that. Yes, so patient is having 12 breaths per minute, so you can set the alarm at 25 or 30. Okay, yeah. What should the minute ventilation alarm should set at? Minute ventilation is never should not greater than 10 liters. I will explain what is minute ventilation. It is the multiplication of the respiratory rate and tidal volume. You be clear in this when I'm showing ventilator, and you will get idea, right? So what is minute ventilation? Respiratory rate in tidal volume. Why minute ventilation is important? Minute ventilation is otherwise known as pulmonary ventilations. How much of ventilation we are giving to lungs, right? So it should not never exit. It can exit, but normal value is 10 liters per minute. Some book is given 8 liters, some is 10 liters. So it will be criteria for weaning. It should never crosses 10 liters per minute, right? And what should the PEEP alarm should set? What is PEEP? Peak inspiratory pressure. It's also important. Usually 10 to 15, but never greater than 40 centimeter of, unless the patient has respiratory distress. So this all like blindly you people know learning, but once I come to with ventilator, this I will discuss with ventilator. Yes. What should the initial setting of the tidal volume for the newly mechanical ventilation? So 6 to 8 ml of per kg. This is the usual tidal volume which will set. But here, since we are focusing for COVID-19, the patient severe cases, always they'll have exhibit the signs and symptoms of ARDS. So they usually, according to guidelines of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, so usually low tidal volume should be, patients should have low tidal volume. This you have to be very clear. Why I will tell you when I show the ventilator settings on VCV mode, right? So here, and then come for the peak pressure, inside pressure, that is I'll show in the ventilator 35 to 40. And the weaning criteria I will discuss, and the PEEP should be 5 centimeter of water. Why is 5 centimeter initially? What is PEEP? Yes. So recent guidelines for MHO or ARDS who's coming with COVID-19 is tidal volume is 4 to 8 or 4 to 6. Plateau pressure is less than 30, and PEEP pressure is low. Why PEEP pressure is low? I'm going to focus this too. It's very important for the nurses when you go for bedside. Yes, we are 6 hours duty. We are most of the time we are bedside. We never used to observe the ventilator parameters. If you observe the ventilator parameters, we can learn more, right? And proper intervention we can do. Yes. So, and then the recently they have given guidelines. Even usually ARDS patients, the prone position we can give, because the compliance will maintain good enough compliance to increase the compliance. So you see prone position they will give. If the patient is on ventilator, they can give with proper tying with the proper secure tubings and everything. You can give prone position 16 to 18 hours per day if patients going for severe ARDS. Okay. Yes. So this is all guidelines. And you see, if you, so prone position as per the nurse, you should know when you are giving positioning, you see what we have to do. Pre-oxygenate the patients with FiO2 100%. This is what we have to do in clinical site. Secure the ET tube and CV catheters. And then you see here adequate number of staff to assist, because you are going to turn the patients, ARDS patients, in prone positioning. It's quite complicated, but you have to ensure with enough staff, right? And then we have to supply to the turns, how to perform the turn, everything should know. And contraindication to prone position, spine instability, any intracranial pressure is increased. This all you should know. And when to start proning and when to stop proning. You see, when to start proning, if the PF ratio is less than 150 while being intubated, and then you should start proning. If the PF ratio, when to stop proning, if it exceeds less than 150, as we discussed before, the cases are going to severe cases of ARDS. If it is more than 150, then you can stop proning. Right? Yeah. Now you come for this role of nurses in assessing the parameters and intervention to be done. Yeah. So now I go with the graphical representation of the ventilators. So what we discuss now, you'll come to know, right? Yeah, you see here. First, I discussed about P peak, right? What is P peak? This is P peak. 48 is there. Usually it should be less than 25, 30 is good. If it is 48, so it will happen when you go to the ventilator settings. This is most important part. Peak inspiratory pressure is rising. This is inspiration. See, I am going to discuss flow. This is pressure. This is pressure column. This is volume, tidal volume, and this is flow. Okay, so three things are very important when you go for ventilators. You should not, I usually tell, don't think that this is a difficult topic. When you see, it's like when you are inflating the balloon, the same example, is very simple example. When you are inflating the balloon, you will give maximum pressure, right? And you give the flow, and the volume is balloon. The balloon will become inflated more and more, right? And you are giving pressure, and flow is there. So what happens? Same phenomena here. You are setting the pressure and you are giving the flow, and the tidal volume is maintained constantly 500 ml. So how the graph will be there? So how the graph, you see, if the graph exceeds 45, 48, what is the role of nurse? This is about today's topic. The nurse, if you go to the bedside, if the graph, if peak shows 48, immediately what you have to do, most important part, it may be because of the secretions, any mucus plug. Understood? So why I'm focusing here, if you do suctioning, it will be decreased. If the PIP pressure is increased, this is because of the mucus plug and because of the secretion is more. This is what I used to tell frequently. When you do suctioning at the one time, suctioning is clinically indicated. As per the protocol, we should not do suctioning 2 hourly, 4th hourly, 6th hourly. It is clinically indicated. If you tell it is clinically indicated, never encourage the suctioning for 2 hours or 4 hours. Right? Why? If it is clinically indicated, you should know what are the parameters you have to observe to be very confidently, right? So if it is clinically indicated, you will observe heart rate should not be go for tachycardia, and the most common parameter to be assessed in ventilator is peak. If it is more than 35 or 30, surely you need a suctioning. And you see the graph here. Yes, 0 level, 10, 15, 30, 35, 40, and then it's crossing about 45. You see the inspiration, this is inspiration, this is expiration. Okay, and the graph is going higher side. You have to do intervention. You see, when you go to the bedside to put a nurse, what you will observe, you will put a FiO2 is 30%, patient on FiO2, and VCV more, patient is on FiO2, patient is conscious or unconscious, and so on. So you will write. So why we are not observing the parameters? Why we are not observing the loops and curves? That is my question for the last 7 years. We are not observing when you're taking rounds. It will not take even a fraction of second, just for 30 seconds or one minute you can observe here. So that intervention will make a good outcome of the patient, right? So you see, that's what I'm telling. In the pressure, if it's increased, there will be mucus plug or any aspiration, secretions are more. You should go for suctioning, number one. Number two, you come for here. This is tidal volume. This is tidal volume. You see tidal volume. Why we started with low tidal volume, 350 ml. And you see the respiration. This is respiration. Yes, this tidal volume into respiratory rate, if you multiply, this minute ventilation should come. Yes. So this is what patient, this is we are fixing. We are fixing this parameter. Yes, we are manipulating this parameter. And here you see, the patient is having minute ventilation, tidal volume, how much patient is delivering, patient is getting. So minute ventilation is about 8 liters is normal, about 10 liters also is normal. You have to cross check with, when you are manipulating this respiratory rate and tidal volume, you multiply and see, approximately it will come 7.76 or 8. Though it should not exceed more than 10. It depends on the conditions. It can exceed some condition. If you give the patient body weight is more than 100 kg and you are giving tidal volume more as per weight, so if we are giving respiratory rate, it can extend up to 12, no issue. But normally, usually the weaning guidelines is that this minute ventilation should never exceed 10 liters. Or you have to cross check. It should not, suppose if you are giving 350 and 25 and the patient is not getting minute ventilation, it's like only 4 liter patient is getting. This you have to ensure and you have to inform to the physician. Yes, it may be ventilator malfunction or it may be patient's any causes. right? So small things which is very important for the nurses is minute ventilations or pulmonary ventilation, which is important. Respiratory rate into tidal volume, you have to observe this, the role of nurse. Yeah, then yeah, so this is what pressure I said, and this is tidal volume. You can see 0 level, x-axis and y-axis 0.5 for 500 ml. Tidal volume is 350, we fixed. You can see the constant tidal volume here, delivering inspiration, expression. Yes, and you see the flow. Flow usually, what is the flow? How much of flow? You see when you inflate the balloon, the flow should go maximum inside. Then only the balloon volume will increase, right? So if the flow you are giving, any obstructions or anything is there in between, the flow will not reach the lungs properly, right? So there will be any changes here. This is the decelerating flow. I will discuss separately one by one. You remember that we are going to discuss what is pressure, how it is, the graph is arrived, and what is flow, how the graph is arrived, and what is the abnormality you are going to face in this graph. See, you can see here, this is inspiration and coming to x-axis, and then expressions going this way. So if there is any changes in long expressions, anything, if expression starts from here, these are all the things which you have to observe and inform to the physician. We can do it because we are 24 hours, we are with patients who's in ICU and emergency, who's dealing with ventilators. If you observe closely, these are good things to be, you motivate yourself. It is self-satisfaction, and it will increase your knowledge and competency level, right? Yeah, so I'm going to discuss this one, and I come for the pressure and volume this side. This is pressure volume analysis and flow volume analysis. So this I will discuss. What is that? Yes, so this is all about which we are going to deal with today's topic. And PEEP. Yeah, PEEP, this for these patients I've given, they've given 8. Okay, initially PEEP is 5 PEEP is enough. What is PEEP actually? You know that PEEP, positive expiratory end pressures, to open the alveoli and to make a gas exchange properly, right? So you can see this pressure, 0 axis is there, right? Why it's not coming to 0 level? You see why it's not coming to 0 level? Because we have given 5 PEEP. It will not come to 0 level. Pressure flow, pressure column will not come to 0 flow. When you give 0 PEEP, then it will come here. Understood? So PEEP, only some condition they will keep 0, and like when you do CPR, we have to keep PEEPs 0, right? Yes, because we are doing very fast CPR, 120 beats per minute. So to avoid more collapse of the alveoli, we'll keep 0. Okay. Yes, that we'll discuss. So this is about the pressure. Yes, and here you should know what is minute ventilation. VT is a minute, VE is a minute ventilation, and VT is a tidal volume. Yes, I'm giving 350 tidal volume. Patient is getting 292. Yes, so you just wait and see whether what is the problem, because if you see VTE, inspiratory tidal volume, and expiratory tidal volume, the difference should be maximum 20. If the expiratory tidal volume, suppose if you are giving inspiratory tidal volume is 350 and the expiratory tidal volume is something different, 20, it's not coming like 240, 260. There is a difference, more difference are there. Or expiratory tidal volume is increased, 350 you are giving, and the expiratory tidal volume is more than 400. The difference is 50. Okay, that you have to note. I'll show in the ventilators what is that, because that indicates pneumothorax. Because expiratory tidal volume, the patient expression, the volume is not coming outside. So when the volume is increasing, the expiratory tidal volume, that also comes in ventilator. I'll show. I have 2 models of ventilator settings. So each and every model, the parameters are same. Only different, you should know when to apply these parameters, right? So first I started with the pressure. Understood? Yes. So what is variables? So you should know what is variables. Controlling variable. You see, one side is patients, other side is machine, right? So which variable will control the ventilators and which variable control the patients? So how the trigger is one of the most important part. When the trigger comes, why I'm telling the focusing trigger is important. When you are working in ICU independently, we are dealing with the patient, 2 or 3 patients at the midnight, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, patients is triggering. So you should give support from why the patient is triggering. It may be because of pain, it may be because of hypoxia, it may be because of anything, and the respiratory alarm will be there. So you have to find out this one, and you have to inform to the physician. Otherwise, if you have independently, what you have to do, I will tell, right? So you can see here, what is the mode of phase variables? The patient's ventilator interaction. So ventilator, one side, the ventilator will support, and other side, the patients will cooperate with the ventilators, and the ventilator should cooperate with the patients. Then only the synchrony will be there. So asynchrony is a term where one side the ventilator is delivering and the patient is not accepting. Understood? So that condition will be quite difficult, and that will cause us fighting. You will tell fighting of the ventilator, right? So here, what is three variables? You see control variable and inspiratory variable. Inspiratory variables trigger, time, and cycle, and the pattern of breath is ventilator breath and spontaneous breath. Just overall view, when I come with the picture diagram, you will come to know. So what is variable? So you see variables trigger. I told you trigger. What is trigger? Yes, trigger can be controlled by controlled breath or assisted breath. Yes, nowadays we are going always we are doing with assisted control breath, because previous scenario, like previous decades, and they are using the positive the ventilator which is continuously producing the ventilation, and they won't assess the patient's effort. They will continuously produce. Nowadays everything comes under assisted control, whether it is volume control assisted or pressure control assisted. Because what is assisted? When the patient trigger like this, when the patient is intubated, after 6 hours patient want to put their effort like trigger. So when the trigger, the ventilator should assess the trigger, and according to that it will assist and it will give the flow and the breath. So we are doing the settings. This is the physiology of the trigger. So it happens control breath and assisted breath. You see, the control breath, the respiratory rate on the ventilator is set 12 breath per minute. For example, every 5 seconds it triggers a breath. See, if you see the calculation, 12 breath per minute, right? So 60 seconds, 60 divided by 12, it comes 5. Every 5 seconds, the new breath should trigger the new breath. Ventilator should trigger the new breath. The assisted breath, what is assisted breath? This breath is initiated when the patient initiates the breath, which then drops the airway pressure. You see, when the patient initiates a breath like this, trigger. So that time, what we have to do, we have to inform to the physician, or the ventilator should support properly. Either it may be BCV mode or PCV mode. You have to ensure, because if you know the trigger only, then only you will come for the weaning guidelines, weaning criteria. So this all the thing which is minor thing. As a nurse, we are in bedside. It will increase your confidence level when you go for assessing this kind of trigger. Yes, don't be very careless when your trigger is there, and don't go for randomly go and work in some other place. When the trigger is there, you have to go and monitor why the trigger is there, right? What is trigger? When to start delivery breath. So what is trigger? When to start delivering the breath. So trigger is by patients, pressure and flow. It depends on pressure and flow. Ventilator, it depends on time. So 5 cycle will deliver 5 breath according to the patient. Patient is triggering, ventilator will deliver. Both should go unique, parallel, right? Yes. So this is about trigger. What is patient trigger? You see the diagram here. When the patient, you see here, when we are delivering the flow and it's going to the patient's coming return flow. Yes, the patient will trigger, okay, and this should be assessed by the ventilator. So only trigger sensitivity, you should know in the ventilator setting, trigger sensitivity. I'll show the ventilator setting here. It should be -1 to -3 normally. Yes, why we are keeping? Suppose I'm triggering. Ventilator should assess my trigger, okay, and that should deliver properly. That trigger, they kept normal value -1 to -3 centimeter. The ventilator will assess when the trigger is happening. When you keep the trigger normal value 2 liters, if you in the 2 liters also we can keep per minute. I'll tell where you have to do the settings. 1 to 3 liters is normal value for flow trigger or pressure trigger. Both are same, -1 to -3. If the trigger sensitivity is -5, if trigger sensitivity is -5, and the ventilator won't assess your trigger. So you have to be very careful. Trigger sensitivity, when somebody manipulated by mistake, if the trigger sensitivity is -8, okay, and the ventilator won't assess the patient trigger and continuously will be giving the breath. Please mute somebody. Please. Yes, you come for the limit. Yes. So limit, what is limit? The flow rate, how much of flow we are giving. Usually 60 liters per minute is a normal flow rate, which you kept in the ventilator. I'll show the flow rate. And then the pressure, usually the pressure is should be set 20 centimeter of H2O. Excuse me, please don't disturb.
Dear participants, kindly mute your
yourself.
microphone, please. There is a disturbance coming in. Please, all of you kindly mute your microphone. And like, if you have any questions, you can please put it in the chat box, or you can write it down and just keep it with you. And the last, we will open up for the discussion and we can have the discussion. Please kindly cooperate with us. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Rajkumar.
Yes. Yeah. Set the see. What we discussed, trigger. I think trigger and limit. I think admin can take control. Galaxy G2 2016. Please mute them.
Johnson, please mute all the system,
Please,
please.
I am getting disturbed. Actually.
Mr. Johnson, please mute the rest, all of them except him, because there is a distraction coming up for the speaker. All of you kindly cooperate in muting your microphone, please.
Yes.
Johnson,
So,
did you able to control?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, fine. Mr. Rajkumar, please proceed. Okay, thank you.
Yes. So you see here, trigger. I discussed what is limit. What is limit? Your flow limit should not exceed 60 liters per minute. This is also very important, which will set in the ventilator. And the pressure, which we discussed, the peak pressure, usually 20 centimeters more than enough, for example. So the ventilator will not go above this pressure when delivering the breath. So flow limit is set flow and pressure, and then cycle. So you saw cycle, inspiratory and expiratory cycle. When it comes for inspiratory and expiratory cycle, you see this cycle, the set volumes could have been achieved. Example, 500 ml. I think this Galaxy 2016 is disturbing. I don't know who is that. Yes. So you see, set volume and you see 500 ml we are doing in tidal volume, and inspiratory time is 1 second. What is inspiratory time? I'll explain the diagram. Yeah, you see the diagram here. Yeah. See, now we discussed the inspiratory time. This is your inspiratory time. What is cycle? Inspiratory and expiratory. Yes, the cycle should continue. When the cycle will complete, when the volume is reached 400 ml, and even the pressure flow is reached 60, you can see the 60 liters here, peak flow, maximum peak flow settings. When it reaches 60, then it will come to the the expression will start, then it will come to the zero axis. So this is all the findings which the ventilator settings we are doing, and that will be properly you see here 0.4 it's coming tidal volume, and it's coming around less than 60 flow. This is known as cycle, one cycle, inspiration and expiration, right? And that is like 0.7 second or maximum one time, inspiratory time 1 second. And what is I ratio? This is one of the important thing for the patient who is having COPD. Yes, I ratio, inspiratory, expiratory time should be 1:2. Yes, or if you increasing expiratory time if you are increasing to 4, what is the meaning for that? When the patient is having more CO2 retention and you are increasing the exhale time more, and that will decrease the CO2 level when the patient takes inspiration and expiration. Yes, that will come in ABG. We don't want to discuss here, but you have to know the normal value of IE ratio. IE ratio is 1:2 or 2.5. Okay. Yes. Remaining we discuss the PEEP, you will keep 5. And this is known as a trigger sensitivity. This is important, which I told you. When you go for ventilator settings, by chance the trigger sensitivity is -5, you can decrease to -2. No problem. Because why you are keeping this trigger sensitivity? I told you, when your patient is triggering, ventilators should get idea that patient is triggering. So they kept this 2 centimeter of water. So because ventilator to assess even patient and trigger because of pain or hypoxic anything. So for that triggering, ventilator should support assist the trigger. For that only we are keeping -2. If you come for the liter, it is 3 liters maximum. Clear? And then FiO2. This is FiO2. Clear? Yes. What is this? We are going to discuss what is this plateau pressure. The role of plateau pressure and peak pressure for COVID-19 patients who is in mechanical ventilation. This is also very important. We'll discuss. Yes. Yeah, you can see here. So see, this is what the scenario I have seen in the clinical, and you see 42. Peak is 42. Yes, I told plateau pressure less than 30. You can see 39. Yes, I will give the question last. The patients having high respiratory alarm. Yes, what is the meaning for this? Yes, trigger sensitivity 2 liters we are kept. We are keeping 2 liters. So the patient is triggering. Yes, and the ventilator, we have to give support from outside because it's a pain, also respiratory rate will increase, hypoxia also respiratory rate will increase. So what is the thing here to note? Continuous patient ventilators delivering the breath here, you can see. Since because P peak is increased and P plat is increased, there is something to be intervention to be done. Yes, we have to decrease the P peak and P plat. So how we find the P plat? Plateau pressure is inside the lung, pressure inside the lung. Yes. So when you go for here, inspiratory pause is there. When you press this, plateau pressure will come. Understood? Yes. So this is plateau pressure. Very important. Why this is important? If both are increased and patient will be going for ARDS. Understood? This is the clue. When you go for ventilator settings, when both are increased, P peak and P plat, yes, and patient will go for ARDS. Yes, got it? Yes. So you come for here. Yes, we discussed this one. Yes. So you see, I took only one pressure column. You see, only one pressure column I took. Here you can see the peak is 5, and then the graph goes to PIP, peak inspiratory pressure. Then there is a trans airway pressure. This is known as plateau pressure. Understood? And then the expression comes. This where I'm discussing this. This is the pressure column, first column of the ventilator. I am discussing this part. Since this is VCV mode, patient may be in sedation. So this graph is like this. If not in sedation, and you can see the one part of this graph. So this is the normal thing. This is P plat and this is expiration. Yes, yes. So you see here, we have types of breath, right? So how we are going to assess the trigger? Yes. So you see the spontaneous breath and ventilator breath. Yes. So ventilator breath you can see. Yes. You can see mandatory, yes, and assisted or supported. Clear? You see, mandatory breath is completely ventilator dependent. As I told you, it was the previous decades, they are using continuous mandatory ventilation continuously without assessing the patient trigger, patient effort. So nowadays, we are the assisted control. It's assisted control. It may be volume control. It may be pressure control. So this is comes under here because when the patient triggered, machine is cycled. Understood? When the patient is triggering, machine will produce cycle automatically. So this volume control and PCV pressure control mode will come in this assisted, and supported mode is your weaning mode, which is PSV and SIME mode, pressure support. When the patient trigger and the patient cycled. So what does it mean? How you find the trigger? Suppose the graph is like this. Understood? The trigger is like this. Usually the graph is, see the trigger. I'll so keep on. I'm give the picture so that when the pressure column is come like this a trigger is happening here. This shows that patient have some putting some effort. You see, when you inform to the physician, you see if you are informing immediately to the physician, patient is triggering. So that will change the good outcome of the patients. Yes, if you're not, because we are 24 hours working with the patients, and nurses who is dealing with ICU, working in ICU, patient who is getting ventilated daily, and they should be very clear in this, right? So triggering, when you go for suctioning, you just see the trigger. When the patient is triggering, you have to inform to the physician. Yes, I'll come for the flow separately. Yes, this is the flow curve. I will discuss flow, and first I discuss the pressure where you observe the trigger. Yeah. So today's I'm going to discuss overall VCV and PCV and PSV, 3 mode, which is most important for you people. When the patient is intubated with severe cases of COVID-19 or with deteriorating case, usually patient will be put in VCV mode or PCV, pressure control ventilation. It depends on the patient effort, right? If it is VCV mode, volume control, preset tidal volume will be delivered with 350 ml, which I said you tidal volume should be delivered low tidal volume, that is 4 to 6, right? Because if patients who is having severe cases of COVID, they always have signs and they exhibit the symptoms of the ARDS, and with ARDS patients we can't able to give full tidal volume. Okay, and I'll give the physiology when I'm coming for last, right? And you have to monitor the pressure. That will damage further. Yes. So you said preset volume and monitor the pressure. In VCV mode, you have to monitor the pressure. This is, you have to remember. Yes, pressure should not exceed more than 40, which I discussed you. Okay. And minute ventilation, assure minute ventilation. You know what is minute ventilation? That is respiratory rate into tidal volume. Am I right? Yes. So I think some disable. Yeah. If you have minute ventilation, if you're giving minute ventilation is more, I told you it should be less than 10 liters. If it is more, that may cause barotrauma, a patient limitation. You have to be very clear. Patient should know about barotrauma, and you have to assess for sedation, and you have to assess for paralysis. This is important for VCV mode. Usually VCV mode, always you will keep the patients in sedation, and and sometimes go for paralysis, neuromuscular agents also we can use. I will come for the condition, and you have to assess for the barotrauma. Barotrauma is injury to the lungs. If you give more volume and you are not monitoring the pressure, patient will go for barotrauma. Yes, barotrauma, how to assess? I have the slides, I will tell you, right? Yes, you come for the PCV, pressure control ventilations. In this, pressure is, we are giving constantly. You have to monitor the volume. Whether this much of pressure, I have seen, will give pressure 15, 16, 12, 15, 16. And you check the tidal volume other side, where you have shown the figure. Tidal volume, how much of is delivering. If you give 12 centimeter of water and the tidal volume is 250, and you can increase the pressure to 16. So tidal volume check whether the patient is getting 350 or not. So you have to monitor the volume. Understood? In VCV mode, you are monitoring, you are keeping the constant volume and you are monitoring the pressure. In PCV, you are monitoring, you keep the pressure constant 12 or 4 or 16, and you are checking the volume whether patient got a tidal volume properly or not, received the tidal volume properly or not. Where you observe, I clearly told you in the ventilator's upper side, you will observe the tidal volume whether patient is getting tidal volume or not, right? So decelerating flow, what is decelerating flow? You know about the pressure column and the flow column. I didn't discuss, I will discuss now. And the pressure support ventilation is the weaning mode, which is very important in this pressure, constant pressure and volume. In the pressure support ventilation, tidal volume role is not important because patient is taking breath. You are supporting, you are giving pressure and patient is taking breath. So weaning mode, and which will be discussed. So this is the 3 mode which is very important for you people, and you don't write the patient is on so and so mode and FiO2 this, but if you write something, at least you should know about knowledge about VCV and PCV, what kind of changes and what observation you have to do in VCV. It will not come immediately. When you observe more than, I observed more than 500 ventilators last 7 years, it will take time. When you observe frequently, it will be very interesting, and it is very interesting, and you can develop your confidence level, right? You can ask your doubts to the physician. No one will not tell anything. Surely they will discuss with you. If you are discussing with them, they will discuss with you, right? Yes. So VCV mode, which same ventilator settings I am having, and why? Because you should know peak. You know, peak is increased. What you will do? You do suctioning. Number 1, plateau pressure. You have to observe. Here is the inspiratory pass. When the inspiration starts, you have to press this one, inspiration. So plateau pressure will come, inspiratory pass. Understood? So plateau pressure should never go. That is what a new guidelines for COVID-19 with ARDS. The plateau pressure, all nurses should know about plateau pressure and peak pressure. Plateau pressure is the pressure exerted in the lung. If it is more, that causes barotrauma. Understood? That causes barotrauma and that causes ARDS. So that is a complicated condition. So plateau pressure should be maintained less than 30. Clear? So how you know the plateau pressure? In this ventilator, inspiratory and expiratory pass is there. You have to press the inspiratory pass. How you press? When the inspiration starts here, you have to press. So that flat line will come. For second, that will create, here show the plateau pressure here. You are clear? Yes, this is peak flow and this is pressure limit. They have given higher limit. We don't want this. So this is all about this one. And then you can see volume control. This is what some mode which I prefer. See, in this ventilator, you have different types of ventilators. So P-plat is 0. You can ask what is P-plat, why P-plat is 0. P-plat always, it will not show. Once you go and press here, inspiratory pass, your P-plat will increase. Clear? P-plat will increase, right? So increase, P-plat value will come, right? So here P peak is 19 and P-plat is good. Peak should be less than 30, peak inspiratory pressure, you can see. But you see the curve, the pressure curve is coming like this. Usually the pressure curve is like this. This is the pressure curve. But here the pressure curve is coming like this. Why? That means that the patient is, because almost patient is having saturation good in the FiO2 21%, patient is maintaining good saturation. They are going to change the mode. Patient is taking breath, and that time the flow, the pressure curve also will change. I will tell you what is the pressure curve, how you have to analyze, right? And flow curve, you see inspiration, expiration is going like this. If you see individually one by one, this is pressure. These 3 together will develop. Understood? When patient trigger a breath, which means the machine will deliver a preset tidal volume. Number 2, you see, number 1, patient trigger the breath, the machine will deliver the tidal volume up to 400 or 500, and then as that volume enters the lung, the pressure in the lung will go up higher side. Clear how the physiology comes. And the pressure climbs will stop at one point because we fix the pressure up to 40, maximum 35 to 40 centimeter of water. It will not go beyond like this, it will not go. So it will go up to 40. Once again, it come downstairs. You can see here as the pressure climb will stop at the same point as the maximum volume delivered. Volume also delivered maximum, pressure also delivered maximum, which we have did setting from outside. And the flow, you see the flow curve. What here? As the breath is initiated, the flow will go up immediately. Once the breath is initiated, the flow will go immediately to achieve the target set volume and reaches the constant flow and then plateaus off. So what is this? The flow is going smoothly and reaches up to 60 liters, which we set in the ventilators, and then comes plateaus downstairs, and then it goes to the expiration phase. This is inspiration and come for the expiration. Then it goes to the zero level. So one cycle is over. So this is what the pattern of this is pressure curve, and this is tidal volume, and this is flow curve. Understood? So how the physiology happening? So you have to observe here. If you see one by one, yeah, you see this is volume control. Yes, and you see pressure versus time, flow versus time. Time is triggered from the ventilators, and the pressure flow from the patients, right? Volume versus time. You see here pressure curve, normal curve, inspiration, transthoracic pressure, plateau pressure, and then expiration. And then it's not coming to the zero. You see, because PEEP we are keeping 5. You see, the PEEP we kept 5. So it won't come. In the pressure curve, it won't come to the zero level. So once again, the trigger is there. See, some trigger is there. Yes. And you can see once again, inspiration, expression, trigger is there. So what is this? This trigger you have to observe. This trigger is very important. And you come for the flow. Now I'll discuss the flow curve. Flow curve usually is parallel like this. And inspiration, expression will come, and expression will go like this. And then it should come like parallel, straight line here. If there is some trigger here, that also some abnormality, which I'll show. But this is parallel curve in VCV mode. Complete patient is on sedation. And this curve we can see here one by one. Yeah, you can see here. I'll show. Yeah, yeah. See, pressure curve, trigger is there. Yes, it may be like this, or it may be like this. When the patient initiate the breath, the curve will be changing like this. Understood? So flow curve, you can see inspiration and the expiration starts here. Usually the expiration should start from here, but here the expiration starts here. Because this is in pressure support ventilation. What is pressure support ventilation? The patient is initiated the breath. So expression starts once before the zero level. X-axis here, the expression starts, because this is in pressure support. If you come for volume control, pressure control, the expression starts from here. Understood? That I'll show. So this is tidal volume. Tidal volume, don't want to worry about. It will constantly maintain tidal volume. Yes. You see here, I'll show this. Yes. This is flow curve. Normally flow curve should be like this, normal inspiration, but you see flow curve should be square in constant flow, volume control mode, or decelerating flow. What is decelerating flow? I'll show the diagram. In volume control and pressure control, this curve should be decelerating. What is decelerating? You can see here. I'll show. Yes, I'll show in this diagram. Yeah. I'll show here. Decelerating flow. Yes. See, volume control mode. This is here like this, parallel, straight line. In pressure control, you see the decelerating mode. Clear? This is known as decelerating. This is normal actually. In the pressure control mode, the flow is decelerating. Understood? In volume control mode, the flow is like parallel, like this. This is constantly will be maintaining. If it is any changes, you can see. But see here, this is flow curve. You can see the inspiration and the expiration zero level, and it's coming. So this is decelerating flow. Understood? This is decelerating flow because this is in PCV. I took from the ward when patients going for this patient is on peritoneal dialysis who is having severe pain. Patients having high respiratory rate, and patients going for, you see immediately when you posted in ICU in COVID-19 ward. So you have to observe P peak and P plateau. Very important part, P peak and P plateau. Yes, and one more thing which I said, inspiratory tidal volume, expiratory tidal volume. There is a difference of 20. That shows that there is accumulation of the air, accumulation of some air inside the lung. See the variation. You are giving 358, but still it only 268 expiration is coming outside. So that shows patient is having some ARDS or any pneumothorax, any condition. This is also abnormality. Yes, I hope so. You can observe in clinical. These are very minor things. When the inspiratory tidal volume you are giving, that should not exceed more than 20 or 30. If it is more than 30, that also abnormal. You can inform to the physician. You are not going to do anything. If you can inform to the physician, right? Clear. So they can give sedation to decrease their respiratory rate, and they can start with fentanyl. So that will come for intervention, right? So this is what this relating flow regarding. So you all know about pressure curve. See, pressure curve is going like this. Yes, up to 40, below 40. It will not go up to 60. That means that there is some obstruction airway that I will come. When I am coming troubleshooting, I will discuss. So you all know about this one. Then last is PSV and pressure support and CPAP. Weaning mode. See, patient is triggering. Patient is taking effort. The graph will be completely changed, the pressure. Completely patient is taking. Here there is no role of tidal volume. Tidal volume, patient is taking, there is so patient automatically will generate tidal volume. Only we are maintaining the pressure. Clear? Because patient took an inspiration and expiration, you can see from the graph. Trigger is there. Yes, yes. So you are clear about flow and volume. Volume won't change. This is tidal volume, constant. And you see the flow 60 here. It will not go beyond that. And the expiration part, expiration usually should start from here. But it started from here. Why? Because this is in pressure support ventilation. Pressure support ventilation, patient is initiated the breath. Yes, you are clear? Yes. Now, I think we discussed pressure and flow and volume, you all know. Yes, now come for the troubleshooting. Yes. Yes. What is troubleshooting? This is what most important part, take home message also. Once again, I will tell. If ventilator peak pressure is high, now you know what is peak pressure. Yes, it should be not exceed more than 40, 35 to 40. Clear? If peak pressure is high and the plateau pressure is low, clear? Peak pressure is high, understood? And the plateau pressure is low. Where I am discussing, once again I'll come for the diagram. I hope those who, yes, if peak pressure, not this one, yes, if peak pressure is high, 42, and the P plat is high, that condition is different. If peak pressure is high and P plat is decreased, the condition, this is what, so you see the condition. Yeah, you see the condition. If ventilator peak pressure is high and plateau pressure is low, so what you do? Assess suctioning. I told you peak pressure is high. Always focus, ensure that you have to do suctioning. This is what happening in clinical side. We do the suctioning regular interval. We never bother about this condition. We always do suctioning. When somebody is telling, we will go and do suctioning. What is about your role? What is about nurse's role? We can do still best. Suction indication is SOS. When needed, you can do. When you have to observe, when your peak pressure is less and there is no tachycardia, so you can inform to the doctors there is no needed of suctioning. Understood? If peak pressure is high, I have seen staff who did suctioning and will come back after half an hour, the doctors will call for suctioning because they know that they know to the parameters to assess. So you will tell that I just know I did the suctioning. That means that your suction is not effective. If you are doing suctioning, it will not take time even not a second to observe the ventilator doing the suctioning. If peak pressure is decreased after suctioning, maybe after 5 minutes, it is well that you did a proper suctioning. Clear? And ET bite, yes, you assess for ET bite and ET blockage and bronchospasm. These 4 conditions comes under, yeah, in this way, ventilator's peak is pressure is high and plateau pressure is low. These 4 conditions will come. Clear? We ensure that the patient is having ET bite, ET blockage and bronchospasm. Yes. So if ventilator shows high peak pressure and high plateau pressure, so what you are going to observe, I told you, I observed the patient is in peritoneal dialysis. Suddenly patient went for high peak pressure and high plateau pressure. So I observed for the ARDS symptoms and pulmonary edema, pneumothorax. I told you how do you observe pneumothorax. Tidal volume, inspiratory tidal volume and expiratory tidal volume, if there is a variation more than 20, yes, that may be cause of the pneumothorax. Also, you can find it, pneumothorax also patient may go. And ET migration to the right side of the bronchus. Yes, this all you know, I think when the ET fixation is not done properly, it will go to the right side. So these 4 conditions will come when high peak pressure and high plateau pressures are there. So here we'll focus, you see here, ARDS patients who is coming COVID-19, who is having symptoms of ARDS, you should know about this peak and P plat. Understood? Yes. Now this all the thing which you know, high pressure alarm, Yes, when the ventilator shows high pressure alarm, increased secretions, kinking ventilators, patient binding, you will see this all you know, which is given the book clearly. And low pressure alarm, people know about discontinue. When you disconnect tubing, low pressure alarm will come, cuff leakage will be there, and leak in the humidifier will be there, and ET ventilator tubing, hole in the ventilator tubing will be there. So you should know what is low pressure alarm and high pressure alarm. This also is important part. So this mostly it is given the book, and we know this. Most of the nurses we know this. Yes, yes. Before going for any ventilation, ensure that there is a proper humidification. Yes, the humidifier temperature should keep close to body temperature 35 to 75 degrees Celsius, and humidifiers should check for adequate water level, but ensuring the humidification thermal regulation. Yes, this also important. Yes, yes. Cause of the respiratory distress, what I'm going to discuss, I am going to discuss the ventilator related causes. Patient related causes, plenty of condition will come, but ventilator related causes, this is known as asynchrony. If you go to the bedside, if the mode is not good, properly maintained, the trigger is there, you are not seeing the trigger, if the flow is not properly maintained, if the cycle is not properly maintained, this causes asynchrony. What is asynchrony? Fighting. When the patient is fighting, there is something to be informed to the physician, or a nurse's role is important when the patient is going for asynchrony. Yes, so you have to assess the mode or trigger. You see here, triggering, you see like this kind of condition, heart rate increased to 104 and the monitor is showing 119. Patients triggering, single triggering, double triggering, continuously patients delivering flow. What does it mean? High rate is delivered. Yes, you have to inform to the physician immediately to check out whether it may be ventilator causes or patient causes. That I will tell how to assess. Yes, when there is auto trigger, this is known as auto trigger. When the patient is triggering continuously, when the graph is continuous like this is known as auto trigger. Auto trigger is like you have to observe. Patient will die if you are not observing auto trigger. Yes, when the patient is continuously in auto trigger, there is some rationale to be done. Understood? What rationale you have to inform to the physician? Because of the high pain, because of hypoxia, any condition, they will do the auto trigger. Okay, auto trigger is very important, and this is auto trigger. Continuously triggering will be there. So either you have to give sedation or inform to the physician and do the sedation. Yes. What may be the causes of auto trigger? It may be water in the circuit. If it is ventilator, water in the circuit, leakage and nebulization message is leakage. You can see water in the circuit is there more. It may be the causes of auto trigger. Yes. Other than the patient's effort, there is something other than the patient effort is triggering. It may be because of ventilator, right? It may be because of mechanical functions like water in the circuit, leak and nebulization. Yes. The solution, remove and water and leaks. Yes. So auto PEEP, which is one of the important term, where you observe auto PEEP. When you go for suctioning, in the flow column, I told you inspiration, expression, and expressions go flat. If any gap is here, this curve should go like this. You see the curve like this, it should go. If it go like triggering and is going like this, if it go like flat and going like this, usually it should go like this, inspiration. It go like this. But you see here, it goes like this, triggering and going. This is known as auto PEEP. What is this auto PEEP? Most important is auto PEEP that indicates air is accumulated in the lungs more. Okay, air trapping. The other name is auto trip. Other name of auto PEEP is air trapping. Understood? Air trapping. So how we are going to manage air trapping? These are the things which you have to inform, right? So you can see, inspirated tidal volume 473 and expirated tidal volume is 503. More than 20 is there. Understood? So air is trapped and there is cause of pneumothorax. Yes, you accept. You can observe this in ventilator when you are posted in ICU. It is very interesting if you observe. Yes, yes. This is known as auto PEEP. Auto PEEP is air trapping. So where you observe air trapping in the flow column, you will observe here. In the volume column, in tidal volume is delivered. You see the air. Usually tidal volume should come to the 0 level and then it will go. But if it go here, this gap is there. This is air trapping. Yes, yes, you can assess, right? If you see the ventilator, I will show the ventilator once again last. So if you come for the other side, pressure volume flow volume curve. The curve is like this: inspiration and then expiration, and it go like normally to the 0 level. If it go like here, Yes, this is also air trapping. Where I'm discussing, this is right side of the ventilator. Only we discuss the left side of the ventilator. Right side we have pressure volume analysis and flow volume analysis. That also important. I will tell why it's important. But you remember that this leakage should not be there. This air trapping should not be there. If it is there, you should inform to the physician. Immediately, you see, when the patient go for pneumothorax, without ventilator, you know the signs and symptoms of pneumothorax, you will inform to the physician. Immediately they will go for intubation. When the patient's in ventilator, how to assess the pneumothorax and how to assess the air trapping, this is most important part for the nurses, right? When the patient go for air trapping around 10 o'clock night, midnight, and you know that patient is going air trapping, and you didn't notice this to the physician, patient going for severe pneumothorax and patient will die. So you are doing good effort here, and if you inform as soon as possible, the intervention to be done and patient outcome will be good. So only I'm focusing here as a nurse. We have to do best in the clinical part. We can learn this. Ventilator is not a big thing. What we studied only more VCV, PCV, and so on. So, but if you come practically, these are all the things which you have to learn. Yes, yes. So this I discussed already. Increased airway pressure. If peak inspiratory pressure is increased, that causes you go for suctioning. Yes, it may be bronchospasm or it may be airway secretion. See, the peak is increased. Okay, and the plateau pressure is decreased. Understood? See, if PEEP is increased and the plateau pressure is increased, that I discussed, that is pulmonary edema ARDS. Yes, in pulmonary edema ARDS, the compliance will be low. This is one of the important, where you will observe the compliance. What is compliance? Pressure, volume divided by pressure. Yes, compliance is directly proportional to volume, inversely proportional to pressure. When the volume is increased, the compliance will increase. When the volume is decreased, the compliance will decrease. In pulmonary edema and ARDS patients, there will be low compliance. How we are going to assess compliance? Yes, so I'll come for that. So here, as we discussed, artificial airway related problem, tube migration, you have to observe tube block and everything you have to observe here. Patient biting, kinking of the ET tube, rupture of the ET cuff. Everything is important. Air leak. Air leak, you all know that. Once again, I'll show air leak, how to assess inappropriate ET size. 3 important conditions for air leak: deflated or ruptured ET cuff and disconnection. So where you will observe the air leak, once again, air leak and air trapping, all both are same. You see, air leak, when the volume, tidal volume is delivering, I told this should come to the 0 level, but this is like, it is bending here and going to the here. This gap is known as air leak. Air leak you can assess here. You can see here also air leak. It should come directly to the 0 level. It is going here and coming. This also air leak. In other part, ventilator. Yes. Yeah. Now you come for this. After all doing this much of effort, there is no improvement in patients. So what you are going to do? What is immediate nursing intervention? That is, patient is triggering. Auto triggering is there, and you did the maximum effort. And nothing, you can't able to find out where is the problem. So what you have to do, disconnect the ventilator and do the amp back ventilation. Yes, if patient saturation is good and heart rate is good, everything is improving. Yes, and there is a problem with the ventilator. Yes, if nothing is improving and problem with the patients. So how we are going to intervene? If after all doing this assessment, patient is triggering, and you are doing the assessment, every doctors, and we are collaborative work. It is a collaborative work. You and physician, you are together, you are doing effort, and the patient is not improving. Finally, you should disconnect the ventilator and go for amp back ventilation and manually evaluate compliance and resistance, that doctors will do. And if it is problem with the patients, and the patients will die. If you are not doing intervention as soon as possible, patient will go for severe pneumothorax and airway obstruction, and patient will die. So this is what important for part of the nurses, which you have to do reaction immediately intervene when the patient going for any malfunction. Okay. Yes. Now pressure and low volume analysis. You know where I'm discussing this. This I'm discussing this one. Yes. Yes. I'll come for this diagram. Ventilator I'll put here. Any other ventilator? Right side of the ventilator where? Okay. Anyway. Yes. I want to go back. Yes, this is I'm discussing. We discussed the flow column, volume, and pressure. This is right side of the column. Yes, one is pressure volume loop. The volume pressure volume loop inspiration goes to P pressure and then P peak and then come for expression. This is normal pressure volume loop. Yes, and you see for flow volume loop. I'll come for the last when I'm showing ventilator. This is flow inspiration and then expression going to the 0 level. If it's going here, this is causing air leak. Understood? Yes. If it's going like scooped out like this, and that is little deeper, that condition COPD and everything will come. So this is flow volume loop and lung compliance. How we are going to assess lung compliance? Yeah, You see lung compliance changing in the pressure volume loop in volume control mode, which patient is intubated, mechanically ventilated. Patient who is having severe cases with ARDS, lung compliance is very important. When this curve, you don't want to remember anything. When this curve is flat like this, that indicates low compliance. We have to inform to the physician. This curve I'll show the ventilator. When this curve is flat like this, that indicates low compliance. We have to inform to the physician. Understood? So that you remember this one. I will tell. I'll show the diagram. Yes, you see lung compliance changing in pressure mode, pressure volume loop analysis. This is the level, and this is coming downstairs. This is ARDS. Lung compliance is decreased from here to here. When the lung compliance is inspiration going flat like this, this is known as low compliance. The patient is going for ARDS. Understood? We have to correlate with the clinical condition, signs and symptoms. Yes, ARDS and pressure time curve. So which we discussed already. This I discussed already. When P flat, this I'll discuss. P pressure is increased. Okay, and see this compliance. Okay, this is normal. When pressure is increased and the compliance is normal, P flat equal to compliant pressure. We see here pulmonary edema without PEEP. PEEP we are giving. Why we are giving PEEP? You know, in the ARDS, what we are going to do, the one of the most important thing, we keep PEEP more than 10, 15. Why? You see, pulmonary edema with PEEP, it is without PEEP. ARDS without PEEP. Without PEEP, you see the compliance is increasing. Inspiration going to plateau. This is plateau pressure, and then the compliance is increasing. Yes, compliance is increasing. But here you see, when you give 5, 10, 15 PEEP, and that starts from here, and you can see the PEEP. When you give increase more PEEP, the compliance is decrease. Understood? Because the compliance is decrease in this one, we have to decrease the compliance because patient is having ARDS. Yes, this is why we are giving PEEP. PEEP is one of the important thing, and we are giving more than 10, 15 for the ARDS patients. And you won't expect the saturation should be 100%. The optimal saturation for the ARDS patients is 88 to 95, 88, 90. Sometimes people will do what they will do when the saturation is 90. They will do inform to the physician, they will increase the FiO2. You should not do this in COVID patients who is having ARDS. You should not go for the increased level of FiO2, or because ARDS patients always the saturation, optimal level of saturation is 88, 90 or 95 maximum. You don't go for up to 100. Clear? This you have to remember, right? Yes. Next, this is, I told you already, normal lungs, decelerating flow, return to zero. Yes. I'll come for this ARDS lung once again. Yes, I'll come for this word distension. Yeah. So when the ventilator curve is going like a peak, like this here, sharp end, that shows that patients having barotrauma and over distension. This all you have to assess in right side of the ventilator, which I will show now. Understood? Yes. So bronchodilator is play a vital role in the patients who is having severe cases of bronchospasm. You see, flow curve you have to observe. When you give bronchodilators, you just observe the flow curve. Normal lung, inspiration, expiration starts from here, goes like here. Yes. You see, here, resistance is increased before bronchodilator. When you give bronchodilator, it should come, after the bronchodilator, it should come to normal level. So bronchodilators plays a vital role here in the assess the flow curve. Understood? When you give bronchodilators, this curve will come to normal. Clear? So this is one time which you have to remember. Overall thing, the take-home message of this class is respiratory distress on ventilator. See, COVID patients who is on respiratory distress, what you have to assess? You have to assess P peak. If P peak is increased, assess for P flat. P flat is normal, then that is bronchospasm, ET block, biting of the ET tube. If P flat also increase more than 30, then patients going for ARDS, and decreased compliance is there, and that is massive pleural effusion. Many conditions are there. This is what you have to take home message. Overall take home message. This one, when you are posted in ICU patient with COVID-19, and weaning method and criteria, most of the people knows, and TPC trial, CPAP weaning is there, and SIME weaning is there. Most probably we are not using SIME weaning nowadays because of the atrophy of the diaphragm. We are going with the pressure support with CPAP weaning. Understood? Yes, weaning criteria, FiO2. Yes, this you know that PO2 FiO2 ratio greater than 150 to 200. Important. And the PEEP should be less than 8 centimeter of water. Most important. Understood? POC, so ABG level should be normal. Cardiovascular status, heart rate should be less than 140. No evidence of myocardial ischemia. And patient is arousable. Glasgow Coma Scale, GCS should be greater than 13. So this is a criteria for weaning. Understood? Yes. Yes, warning. What is warning? Always seek the cause of the patient's agitation, asynchrony. Patient is fighting. You know that patient is fighting, and you see the cause of the fighting, whether it's from the patients or from the ventilator, right? Removing the patient's effort from the sedation, solving the always used to give sedation. If the physician is not there, you can give sedation if patient is fighting. If patient is on ventilator, you can give 50 mics bolus and inform to the physician. Nothing will happen. When you start neuromuscular blockage, you see neuromuscular blockage always you start from when hypoxemia with inability to achieve adequate protective lung ventilation sedation alone, severe ARDS with less than PF ratio less than 120, that condition neuromuscular blockade is indicated along with the sedation. Okay, if sedation is not patient is ventilated, sedation alone is not achieved, patient is not achieved target, then you can go with the neuromuscular blockage. Yes, nursing observation. Always inversely ventilated patients always provide analgesic first and using fentanyl. This is what we said. When the patients seem to better, they'll keep on sedation for some time and they'll assess for weaning guidelines, which is comes under separate VAP, ventilator associated pneumonia. That is different guidelines we have to observe. Today's topic is I'm focusing only for mechanical ventilation and how to assess P-peak and P-plat. And patients should be quiet enough. RAS, Richmond agitation sedation scale should be 0. Patients should be alert and calm. Any patient should not agitated, and this one. Clear. And daily interaction of sedation and readjusting dosage, assess need for ventilation and tapering. Opioid should go tapered last. Yes. And the last take home message, once again I'm telling, troubleshooting of the ventilator is important for the nurses. Yes, it may be patients or it may be ventilator, it may be circuit. When the patient, you should have to correlate with the patients and the ventilator, and you have to assess yourself what is the problem with the patients and what is the problem with the ventilator. This is what the important take home message for all nurses. Troubleshooting the ventilator is one of the important part. Don't think that this is not our role. This is, I am telling, this is, if you can do better, you can do best if you know everything, because this is also one part of thing. When you work in ICU and emergency, patient outcome will be good if you intervene very quickly and inform to the physician. That is very quickly. If you do, everything will be fine. Yes. Troubleshooting first. Disconnect from the ventilator, ventilate manually, assessment of the resistance, use test lung for the ventilator. This is what they were, because remember that tube block kills the patients. Understood? Tube block will kill the patients. Yeah, this is what about today's session. This is the ventilator which we discussed. You all know that P-plat and P-peak. Now idea is that both, and VTE and see difference of the VTI and VTE, inspirated tidal volume, expirated tidal volume, and minute ventilation. Yes, it is higher side minute ventilation. That shows that you have to do something. Okay, only less than 10 weaning criteria is less than 10 liter. It should be there. FiO2 patient is maintaining good 30%. Yes, and then it is pressure control ventilation. You are giving pressure here and you are assessing the tidal volume. If it is tidal volume delivering properly, you will maintain constant pressure. Okay, and respiratory rate is there. PEEP is 6, and this is IE ratio, TI and T total IE ratio, and trigger sensitivity normal 2. Clear? So this is about take home message. You be very clear about troubleshooting. I know the one class will not change you more, but still this is also important for us as a nurse. For the last 7 years working clinical side, usually we'll observe more and more, and we inform. Our role is very important. Once again I will tell, your decision making is very important for assessing the ventilators, assessing and intervening and monitoring the abnormal functions, malfunctions of the ventilator, right? Yes. Yes, you can see the images once again, same pictures which I have. Yeah. So today's session is almost, we are finishing, as I told, for 1 hour, I think. Yeah, exactly. It's almost 1 hour. So never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. Yes. So ventilator is something different. So don't be afraid of ventilators. Just go and learn as per this physiology. You go and learn. This is more than enough for nurses. When you observe this, when you get chance for observing auto PEEP, auto trigger, and everything, and you learn. Once you see, automatically you will learn. It will never go from your mind. Understood? If you work in ICU and ICU and emergency, you learn more and more regarding ventilators, and that will be helpful for your future. Yes. Once again, I am very thankful for Lourdes College of Nursing and Professor Sendil Kumar for inviting me as a speaker. So yes, So now I'm winding the session with, I'm handing over to Professor Mrs. Sendil Kumar sir, Principal of Lourdes College of Nursing. Any doubt session, anything to be clear, you can discuss with me. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rajkumar, for elaborately giving an idea about the mechanical ventilation of COVID-19 patients. And
Yes.
as my experience as a critical care nurse and years ago at cardiothoracic ICU, we have a set of standard protocol for managing patients with mechanical ventilation. I know that day by day, the number of COVID-19 patients are increasing, and there is a new scientific evidence are coming up every day, and growing evidence are there every day. And being working at an central institute and a national pride institute at AIMS, and I would able to see your enthusiasm in bringing the real patient handling of the situation, really speaking. It's not like you are just taking the class onto the mechanical ventilation, but whereas you would able to brought the your own real experiences with the patients with mechanical ventilation. And as you mentioned, I'm sure that we are not elaborately, but you have been elaborately dealt all the angles of the mechanical ventilation, especially in dealing with patients with acute respiratory distress syndrome. But whereas we tried, being the Lourdes College of Nursing, joining hands with the personality from AIMS, Mr. Rajkumar, we just put a little seed on our learning for especially the COVID-19 warriors of our nurses. Because the information he has been brought is not like just for nurses, but just for the clinical nurse specialist in nursing. The recent evidence, the recent picture, the recent history shown by Corona is telling us the truth to think for even a clinical nurse specialist of these kind of aspects of patient care, especially because as we know right now, we have a 7.5 lakhs of COVID-19 patients, but still we are expecting the numbers might keep growing up. But where we need a lot more patients would be coming forward to the critical care areas, as the recent evidence has predicted that there will be a 3 to 10% of patients will be on critical state, where around 5% of the patients will be on mechanical ventilation. I'm sure that, and it is the policymakers' decision to come for a situation or to make for a policy to even give a sanctioning for the clinical nurse specialist in this area, even to practice independently, because there will be a lot of nurse patient, a lot of doctor patient shortages right now in India. And like even the nurses are right, the importance of the nurses and the importance of the decision making on the nurses about this kind of important life-saving methods are very crucial. And as a part of the moderator, I have a great one important question to Mr. Rajkumar. Then I leave the open the session for the rest of the people.
Mm-hmm.
As being a nurse at bedside and as being a critical care nurse at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, what is the recovery status of the patients with COVID-19?
Yes, as per recovery status is good actually nowadays. Since even I'm in medicine department, which we are not dealing, we are dealing only positive cases, but not one immediately will shift the patient to other department. But myself, I never been into COVID department, but I know the management of the ARDS with COVID patients, because as a department of medicine, as a nurse working last 7 years, the management is same for the patients who is coming for COVID-19, because of the doctors, those who are going to the COVID-19, and they said the recovery rate is good actually, with mild and moderate cases, and the treatment for the mechanical ventilation is going severe cases, only rare cases going for the ventilation, and almost the overall that recovery rate is good actually. So now recently the news also came like there is plenty of bed vacant in the Delhi. The cases are recovering fast and everything. So this topic will be helpful for the nurses if the patient going for mechanical ventilation. So I was there in medicine department. I never posted in COVID department. I posted in medicine department, but I know the management is almost similar. There is no difference, because we know the COVID patients coming for ARDS, and we have managed ARDS patients almost 7 years, how to manage ARDS. So there is no that much of difference. So I just created myself, and I just given you idea. Once or twice.
Thank you for the response. And like there are many, we have a very good number of participants, but we are unable to accommodate everyone. There are many waiting outside.
Yes,
but
I
still
think
there are many with some different questions also. Admin, if you have any questions posted by the participants in the chat box, and you can bring into the attention of Mr. Rajkumar, or the rest of the audience, if you have any concerns or if you have any questions, you may open your microphone and you can try to ask straight away to Mr. Rajkumar. Admin.
Hello, sir. One
yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
One question from Mr. Akhil US, and why we are giving prone ventilation for ARDS? The
Yes,
question.
yes. To increase the lung ventilation compliance, actually, because when you go for the recent research studies and the last 1 year, before it was like we are giving ARDS patients, we have to give proper positioning. But since we are giving ventilation prone, so that condition, patients having lung compliance and patients have good ventilation. The researchers, they found that patients having good ventilation. So for that, we are giving 16 to 18 hours if patient going for ventilator. Patient comfort and the ventilation is good, and the recovery rate is also good.
Any other questions, Mr. Johnson, from the
Yes, sir.
chat box?
How the trigger is influencing the breathing patterns?
Yes,
Another
how
question.
trigger? See, triggers of as I told you. See, when I trigger like this, like as imagine that I am the patient, I'm trigger. I'm giving trigger. My trigger, it may be mild trigger or severe trigger, but that trigger, the patients, the ventilator should assist. Suppose I'm giving like this, the ventilator won't assist. Understood? And ventilator will imagine that the patient's having some trigger, so we can give the breath. But if my trigger sensitivity level is -2 and 2 to 3 liters, which I said, like if I'm triggering like this will compensate, this will assess by the ventilator immediately, and that will give proper breath cycle. Like we discussed, suppose if you are keeping your respirator rate like 15, yes, 15 breaths per minute. So per minute you have 60 seconds, right? So we have to divide 60 by 15. Okay, so 4 is coming. So the ventilator will deliver 4 breaths per cycle. So you have to calculate as per the respiratory rate. If the respiratory rate you are giving 25 and per minute, you know that per minute 60 seconds is there. 60 divided by 25, it will give approximately 2 and 3 in between. This is what the patient trigger is assessed by the ventilator. As per our settings, the ventilator will deliver the breath. Yes, you got it?
Okay. Johnson, Mr. Johnson, any more questions from the chat box?
No, sir. Only 2-3 questions only.
Anybody, the participant, I know that there are principal, vice principal, and other staff nurses, critical nurses, not only India, but across the globe. There are many people, even my own classmates working in abroad and all joined for this venture. And like, if you have any questions, please raise it on to this juncture. Any questions? Any participant, would you like to ask any questions? I presume that there will not be any questions further. And anyway, let us come to the end of the session. And before conclusion, like again, wholeheartedly on behalf of especially from Kerala, you know, we are the model state for especially controlling COVID-19. And we are providing a better way, the better approaches even to and not only to India, but also to the entire nation outside, entire world outside. Like giving an appropriate protocol for managing COVID-19 patients. So we are proud in organizing the topic onto the mechanical ventilation of patients with COVID-19. And as I already mentioned, we are not been proud of like we have been just like taught everything to you guys, but we joining hands with Mr. Rajkumar of AIIMS Delhi, we put a little seed onto our learning. And as you know, the learning never stops. And Corona, the COVID-19 has taught a big lesson for all of us to keep changing the pace of life actually, because the Corona has created a big history in the life of the human being. As like, you know, the history in the future is going to be like pre-Corona, during Corona. 2020 will be, we are living right now in during Corona, and there will be a post-Corona or the post-COVID-19 life is going to come up. So this has given an immense opportunity for the man or the humankind has to think differently and to act differently and to move on differently for the betterment of life of human being onto the earth. So it my great opportunity and heartfelt thanks to Mr. Rajkumar. And
yes, thank you, sir, for your invitation for me and accepting
thank you. You know, you have been really a great man. Like just spending a lot of energy and time with us, and have been taken our invitation as unpleasant way. And with this thanking note, I would like to conclude of my session, and the session is now handed over to Mr. Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for the management. Yes.
Yeah, please hold on. Please hold on. Mr. Johnson will back to you. Johnson, please back to the session is back to you.
Yes, sir. And our director is joined soon. And Madam will talk us a few words. Yes.
Yeah, because ultimately, because our participants' inflow is very high. Even our director could not able to join in the beginning to give an inaugural note, but we were keenly watching her arrival also inside, and she was joined in between, but she's just gone away. Is she joined, Mr. Johnson? She was tried, but
no, sir. Madam sir will join within a second, and here we got one more question about the weaning process to the Rajkumar sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Will you explain once again about the weaning process?
Yes,
briefly?
weaning process. We didn't go deeply, but still I will tell. Weaning process. First of all, I have shown the slide with the criteria. We have to decide the criteria when you should go for decide for the weaning. Yes, I'll show the slide. Yes, you see here. So weaning, initially patient will be in VCV or PCV mode. Yes. After that, after 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, ABG you are doing. Doctors will be doing ABG, and there is no any ABG findings, and the patient is triggering, and the patient is triggering. That is what I am telling. When the trigger you are assessing properly, and you are informing the physician, and the trigger, that trigger we have to assist support from the outside. So that time we have to taper the sedation, right? We have to taper, and you have to, that is spontaneous trial will give. We have to stop the sedation and see whether patient is able to take their breath properly. So once they are initiating the breath properly, then we put on TPs. It depends on the hospital guidelines how they are weaning. Some hospital they are weaning with the TPs 4 hourly, and then they'll go. They'll go with put on PSV and SIM mode. Sometimes we are using, as per my experience, what we will do, we will put on directly in PCV and CPAP mode. Yes, and for 4 hours, and if the patient's electrolyte imbalance and everything is normal, and directly we'll go for weaning. In some hospital, they'll go with the 4-hour TPS trial, and then they'll go for weaning. So here, what I have given weaning. First of all, before going to weaning, you should know the guidelines of the weaning. If the respiratory criteria and cardiovascular criteria, 2 criteria which you have to remember, PaO2 and FiO2 ratio, which we discussed in the first slide, if it is more than 150 to 200, if it is more than 150
പക്ഷെ അവര് പറഞ്ഞു കത്തില് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു 7 റൂമിലെ റെസ്റ്റ്
Mr. Rajkumar, open your microphone, please, Mr. Rajkumar.
Yes, I open. Yeah. Sometimes what you do, we put on patients in VCV mode or PCV mode and give 100% oxygen. After 6 hours, what is our VAP bundle shows? Ventilator associated pneumonia. Weaning, tapering fentanyl is very important. Weaning guidelines. If you have taper the fentanyl and see the triggering of the patients. If the patient is triggering, we will taper we will just give decrease the FiO2 to 60% and then 40%, and then even you come for 30% or 21%. In the 21%, if the saturation is good, and if PaO2 and FiO2 ratio is 150 to 200, and the FiO2 is, the given criteria is less than 50 is more than enough, and the PP is less than 8 centimeter of H2O, and the PCO2 should be normal range 35 to 45. There should not be any hypercapnia. And then cardiovascular criteria, there is no evidence of myocardial ischemia, and heart rate less than or equal to 140 beats per minute, no issue, and the BP adequate with minimal, and no vasopressor infusion should be there, no fentanyl should be there, and the GCS should be greater than 13, and the patient is arousable. Then you can decide the patient put in TPs, we can put in pressure support and CPAP, or some hospital they are using SIM mode. So 2 guidelines which depends on hospital guidelines. So we are using pressure support with CPAP, and then we'll go for TPS trial, and then we'll go for extubation. So for that, this is the guidelines. So it depends on the hospital guidelines. Yes. Anything else?
Yeah, thank you, sir. That's all the question.
Yeah.
One more. That's all, sir.
That's all.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Our director, Mrs. Rakhi Joseph, has joined. Hello, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Johnson. Can you
Good
hear me?
afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Yes,
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 madam.
ma'am.
You are
Good
welcome.
afternoon.
Yeah, welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you very much for having me here. Looks like you had a good day.
Yes, we did. And you are invited for an end note, please, for the session. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, on behalf of Louth College of Nursing and besides on behalf of Louth Education Academy, I'm really thrilled that we could arrange this webinar today under the guidance of Professor Senthil Kumar, our beloved principal. Thank you, Mr. Rajkumar Kanayan, for being here with us today. I hope you had a good session.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for your kind invitation for me as a speaker.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. To have a part of AIMS with us and enrich our nurses around us and nursing educators around us it has been a dream, and I'm really glad that Professor Senthil could arrange this through you. I hope all those who attended today's sessions had an enriching experience, and I'm sure you will be able to share your presentations, and the recording of this video, of course, will be shared with everybody. But thank you for your time. It's been really wonderful, is what I hear from my faculty.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. We look forward to further sessions as well. I'm sure Professor Senthil will stay in touch with you.
Yeah, ma'am.
This is an eminent topic as far as the need of the hour is concerned, and we're glad that we could share some experience and expertise from you to all the lovely delegates that we have here today. And thank you again for being here. Professor Senthil, is there anything else that you'd like me to specifically talk about?
Not really, madam. We are at the end of the session, actually. And we missed you a lot during the inaugural session, actually.
I'm extremely sorry I could not connect. The rush was really, the rush was quite evident when I tried to log in. I was being pushed away because you had several, participants trying to log in at the same time. So I thought might as well stay away and give an opportunity to a nurse practitioner or a nurse educator to attend the session. So anyway, I'm really glad to hear that it was a fruitful one. I'm sure all the questions of all the participants were taken and all of them were answered.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
It was.
Thank you very much. And once again, Mr. Rajkumar, thank you so much for being
thank you.
here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. And to all the participants, thank you very much for being part of the webinar conducted by Louth College of Nursing. Please keep your eyes and ears open. We will be coming up with more webinars in the future. Please do join us and support us in this journey. Thank you. Over to you, Johnson, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your supportive words and guidance. Thank you so much. And again, special thanks and congrats to Mr. Rajkumar sir and by the Meteor Group students.
That's a message, chat box message. Johnson, yes, you can conclude with the thanking note, please.
Oh, okay, sir. Yeah. So gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. This day will be remembered as a milestone in the history of Louth College of Nursing, as it is the first national level webinar. I thank God Almighty for this great and the most vital day and the service of blessing. I take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to our chairman, Dr. K.J. Devasya, and Managing Director, Dr. Joseph Benavan, for the perfect support and guidance. Thank you, sir, in their absence here. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Mrs. Rakhi Joseph, Director, Louth Education Academy, for her constant inspirations and encouragement. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Johnson. Thank you.
In depth to Professor Mr. Senthil Kumar T, our principal, a real motivator, and his zeal has motivated us to make this event happen today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for all.
Yeah, we are extremely thankful to Mr. Rajkumar Kanayan.
Yes,
despite your professional commitment, you're here with us today through webinar. and it dealt a wonderful session on nursing management of COVID-19 patient. And thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the invitation for me, accepting as a speaker. Once again, I would like to thank for all management of Lute College of Nursing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our warmest thanks to all the delegates, faculty, students, and let us have a consistent hard work and grab these opportunities. Once again, I thank you all for your patient participations. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you, all
you,
of
sir.
you, and we are
Yeah, thank you.
concluding right now. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir. Yes,
everyone.
sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.